think in terms of my experience of orphan diseases and drug development, it's clear that the legislation has really helped incentivize companies and the healthcare landscape in terms of bringing new therapies into rare diseases. But I think also with the event of genomics and genetic testing and more understanding and awareness of rare diseases has enabled people to become more interested and acknowledge and recognize that this is an underserved area. And that's helped with the increase and, in some respects, the avalanche of new therapies that are coming out for patients with rare diseases. There are so many challenges for patients with rare diseases in terms of accessing treatment, but I think the first challenge is actually getting a diagnosis. And without a diagnosis, the options and the opportunities to access treatment are really, really difficult. But once you've overcome that hurdle, and then you understand your condition and have some awareness, then you've got an opportunity to understand where treatments are available. The challenge then comes with service provision. So are there services or clinicians available who understand you and can direct you to the right treatment? Then I think patients and families struggle to be educated and understand what's available and what's right for them. And then the final hurdle is healthcare systems enabling access to the services and to the treatments, and being able to navigate your way through a system. And I think a lot of patients in rare diseases really find it difficult, particularly in countries where the healthcare system may be less developed and less clear and understanding how that works. But of course, the other angle is how much these medicines cost. So healthcare systems struggle to find budgets, and therefore that can also be a barrier to access. The COVID pandemic, whilst it was the most awful situation that we had all across the world come across, it certainly did build a lot of new practices. And I think for me and my experience, it showed that countries and healthcare systems and industry and patient groups and the whole system can mobilize and work together and work more collaboratively for a central objective. And I think that's where we need to learn from and mobilize in rare diseases. We have got a shared aim in rare diseases, but we don't work collaboratively together. We don't share data, we don't share experience, we don't share knowledge. I think if we started to be more open and comfortable in sharing that knowledge, and being available to understand the constraints of each of those stakeholders, the landscape for rare diseases could change dramatically. And that for me would be a real lesson. Collaborate and share information across different stakeholders so that we start to understand the landscape better, we start to understand each other's constraints, and we can then find a way through for patients with rare diseases. Any treatments in rare diseases, and this is a really terrible thing from my perspective, particularly if you look at the legislation that's been in place and that was put in to incentivize. But a lot of the research and the access to therapies is in conditions that have already got treatments. So we've got to find a way to incentivize how and where treatments are developed. And I think that Together for Rare Diseases initiative is going to provide a fantastic platform for the European Reference Network, known as ERNs, and the industry to work together to find ways to understand the rare diseases better, to build good foundations for burden of disease, natural history studies, registries to understand patients, that will then help build a better foundation for new therapies to be developed. But again, those collaborations can be used to understand the next steps in the life cycle that then translate into how do we ensure access is secured. Because if we understand the disease, then we start to understand all of the elements that go alongside it in order to make that access happen. But I go back to what I said earlier: collaboration, partnership, sharing information, and understanding each other's constraints and compromises to be made within the system for everyone will start building a much better system for all of us. Partnering across the healthcare ecosystem is the most important priority. No stakeholder can build responses to these really big health issues on their own. So we all bring something to the party, so to speak. Industry and the experience and knowledge and understanding and know-how, resources, all of these things are important because the healthcare systems may be well equipped to do some things, but less equipped to do other things. And only by partnering with industry who may have those resources, may have the capability, may have the skill mix, can we start to build a much stronger picture and a stronger foundation. And I think the benefits of working with trade associations like EUCOPE will be seen by the skill mix and the intelligence and the understanding that they bring from a different perspective into the healthcare landscape, that will then improve the access for rare disease therapy.